Hey guys, David Small here from Team Small Robots coming at you with another event report. This event report will be on Norwalk, January 2023, the new robot event. We'll be talking about my brand new beetleweight Puca, which is a four-wheel drive drum spinner. I basically took the design of Son of Cram, my 12-pounder, and scaled it down into a beetle. You can see they're almost identical. The drum of Puca is obviously different. It's a solid machined 4130 piece of steel instead of the stack drum like Cram. So we'll see how that does at this tournament. I'd also like to mention real quick that I have a bit of a cold at the time of recording this, so if my voice sounds a little strange, that's why. But without further ado, let's jump into the matches. So Puca's debut and preliminary match is against Big Quark, a horizontal mid-cutter with a tri-blade. It also has a mini-bot filled with glitter. As the match begins, I see that my robot is way too squirrely. I have the sensitivity on my transmitter way too high and kind of oversteer everywhere I go. But the robot is still somewhat controllable and I'm able to land a big hit and then completely delete his mini-bot. I land a few more blows that disable one of his drive sides and his weapon, and then at that point I just kept wailing on him until he tapped out. So Puca wins its very first match, and that means it is given an easier route through the main tournament bracket. But first, let's take the robot back to the pits and inspect the damage. So in this TPU standoff, you can see that Big Quark put a pretty big gash into it. Normally there's supposed to be a bolt in here, and that kind of helps keep things more durable. But through the chaos of getting the robot ready in time and all that fun stuff, I forgot to put it in. But luckily I have a bunch of spares of these, so I just put in a new fresh standoff and added the bolt, and we were good to go there. The other notable piece of damage was to the drum itself. Now you can see it's chipping pretty badly. Of course the paint kind of makes it look worse than it is, but I do think it is chipping more than it should have been, so it might have been over hardened. But at this rate it should be able to last through the entire event no problem. I also grabbed some photos of Big Quark from after the match. As you can see here, their pulley seems to have delaminated from the layer lines. It also broke off of the motor entirely. There's some pretty bad damage to one of their wheels and their belt was nearly torn. So it's great to see that Puca is working and it's breaking stuff. But now Puca's next opponent is a lifter bot named Brook, which is obviously a Brett the Brick parody robot. It's a very fun and cute little thing with a duck-style lifter in the front of it. However, once we started going to our starting squares, we realized that Brook was completely unresponsive, and due to Norwalk's new formatting rules, they're very strict about their load-in times, and they were forced to disqualify Brook right then and there, which is very unfortunate. However, I did ask the builder of Brook if I could get a test shot on him just for fun since, that was his last match anyway. And he was a really good sport about it and let me get in this big hit just to get some more data on my robot since it's a new machine and all. And it hits. Of course, Puca didn't take any damage because my opponent was immobile from the beginning, but that one big hit left a nice big scar on his robot, which shows that this robot's got quite a lot of power to it. Now Puca is up against a four-wheel drive. Actually, I'm just gonna... Yeah, that's better. Okay, Puca is up against a four-wheel drive vertical spinner named Frost. The drive sensitivity is now dialed in, so the robot is much more controllable, allowing me to do fast drifts in circles. With Frost's weapon down, it was just me hitting him over and over again until I landed one big hit that flipped him upside down. Since his weapon wasn't working, he was unable to self-right and tapped out. So the winner is Puca by KO. Onward to the next opponent. Puca is fighting Upfoot, which is a two-wheel drive vertical spinner. The weapon looked a little scary, so I decided to kind of poke around and try to avoid going head-on. I got lucky and caught one of Upfoot's feet and managed to pop it up on its butt. Then I came in for a really big hit. He landed upside down, so I took the opportunity to strike a few more times, landing another massive hit followed by another massive hit. Parts were really starting to fly off and break from Offfoot. I was waiting for him to tap out, but he didn't seem to want to, so I came in and kept on hitting him. This went on for a length of time until Offfoot was finally counted out, and Puca wins by KO once again, meaning that Offfoot faces defeat. Now it's time to fight another horizontal spinner. Puca's next opponent is Tilt, which is an overhead horizontal spinner with a slightly tilted blade. Now, before the match started, the Tilt team came up to me and told me straight up that they were completely unable to self-right and asked if I'd be able to put them back on their feet if that happened. And as you can see, this happened fairly quickly into the fight, so I came over to help them out. They told me if something wacky happened and I were to lose after helping them, that they would tap out immediately. So I figured, yeah, why not? I'll come over and help you out. So Puka puts Tilt back on its feet, and we continue fighting. So this cycle would kind of repeat throughout the fight. I'd land a big hit that flips Tilt upside down, then Tilt would have been counted out, but I would come over and flip him back over just in time. It turns out Tilt is a really durable robot. Despite all of these hits, it would still chug along and move just fine. Both their weapon and their drive were suffering almost no damage at all. In fact, if it wasn't for this self-righting issue, they'd have a pretty deadly robot on their hands. So after putting Tilt back on his feet a few more times, I decided to call it. I only have 20 minutes to get everything fixed for my next fight, so I don't want to break anything more than I have to on my own robot. Plus it's single elimination, so there is some pretty high risk involved. So I decided to leave Tilt and let him get counted out so I could move on to my next fight. Puka's next opponent is Cobra Chicken, a 4-wheel drive vertical spinner with a dual disc setup in the front. I was very excited for this match because this kind of lynx or ablation sort of shaped robot is definitely the meta these days, so I was curious to see how Puka could stand up to a robot like this. I lose the very first weapon exchange, which causes me to get flipped upside down. Then Cobra Chicken lands a very important hit on the back of my robot. So the story behind this is a little bit complicated, but I'll try to keep it short. Basically, I have this weapon pulley here that lives inside of the UHMW frame rail. Due to some tensioning issues, I needed to move the entire assembly forward. This meant that I had to enlarge the pocket that the pulley sits in. I got a little bit too carried away and ended up removing a lot of the material that was around the hole I used for the front drive axle here. And because of that, it was very easy for that bolt to get stripped out. So during the hit, the entire outer frame started to bend outward. This ripped out the bolt, but then when everything flexed back into place, the bolt did not go back into the hole. Instead, it just struck the side of the frame rail and then left the axle bent in this awkward shape, which completely hindered the drive on this side of the robot. So now for the rest of the fight, I'm forced to crab walk, putting me at a pretty big disadvantage. Not to mention the big hits Cobra Chicken is landing on me, sending me flying. Now it's hard to see because the banner's in the way, but I just gyroed and then landed on top of one of his back wheels, disabling it. So now we're both crab walking as we try to slowly make our way towards each other, trying to hit the other person. I was also taking my weapon throttle and throwing it up and down in an attempt to kind of add another degree of control to my robot. While doing this, I learned that if I just straight up floor the weapon, it'll flip the entire robot over from the torque. So that's pretty cool, but not exactly helpful in this situation. After awkwardly inching towards each other for a very long time, I snipe the wheel off his back that I broke already and remove it completely. The match went on like this for quite a while, where we both just sort of tiptoe towards each other trying to get any hit we can to impress the judges. Then remember that hit he got on me in the back towards the beginning of the fight? Well, all of those nylon splinters suddenly acted up in a weird way, and the drive on my right side goes from zippy to just an absolute crawl for no reason. So something shifted around with all the random chunks of nylon, and that side of my robot is now also hung up. So now with just over 30 seconds left to go, neither of our robots can really move. Both of our drive systems seem to be hung up, and that's really starting to take its toll on our batteries, since that pulls way more current than normal. So the match came to a close. I actually thought Cobra Chicken was counted out because they stopped moving, but I guess that wasn't the case because there was still 20 seconds or less left, which is a rule at Norwalk. They don't count out people when the timer gets that low. So the judges debated and then asked us to do a functional test. Puka's weapon and drive both worked, but barely of course. But Cobra Chicken only had functional drive and no weapon it seemed, and I think that's what swayed the judges. So Puka ended up winning in what might be the closest fight I've ever had. So after taking Puka back to the pits, I unseized both the drive sides and it was good to go. My next opponent would be some of my friends from Las Vegas, Kaz and Alex. They have a robot named Offbeat, which is a 4-wheel drive undercutter horizontal spinner with a very, very wide mini-bot. As the match begins, I'm able to just barely escape the clutches of the mini-bot and then land a nice big hit on the main robot. This seems to have damaged his weapon. Then I'm able to just keep pounding on him, disabling his drive as well. With the main robot out of the picture, it was time to bully the mini-bot. Got a lot of fun hits popping it up in the air because it's a very floppy and weird robot to hit, which led to a lot of interesting connections. But eventually the main robot was counted out, and the victory once again goes to Puka by KO. That means Puka is finally in the finals against his last opponent, Kickstart, which is built by the Ribot team. It's a 4-wheel drive vert, similar to Bite Force. Now this match was just a non-stop slugfest, so I'm just going to shut up and let you enjoy the match in its entirety.
Zip across the box like it has all day long, be very dominant in the early parts of this fight.
Incredible mobility, incredible control. It's all going to come down to...
Wow!
It's a question of who wins the weapon exchanges, and right now, Puca is sitting on top of the mountain.
Kickstart still moving fine, upside down, now right side up.
Yeah, but they're running. They are on the run, trying to stay as far away from Puca's drum as humanly
Puca
possible.
definitely in control here.
Puca not giving them any room to breathe.
Hit after hit. It's not impossible for Kickstart to come back, but it is not looking good.
Wow, David Small said, I did not come to NHRL to play. I came to win.
Unbelievable.
The weapon now down on Kickstart. I believe a belt is missing, but it is trying to spin up.
I don't even know if he's going to make it this whole time. Puca very clearly head of action here.
Doing the thing. We will have it on the stick now. Absolutely massive hit from
We are
Brook
getting
on
chants
Kickstart.
of Puca from this crowd. They are loving David Small's viciousness in this fight.
That has got to be intimidating.
Wow.
All right, so now these bots doing a little bit more of a dogfight. Kickstart getting a little bit more room to breathe.
Kickstart starting to win the exchanges. The tides may have begun to turn, Kyle.
Okay, I lied. There is one thing I want to comment on. The announcers here seem to think that Kickstart's weapon is still working and he launched me into the ceiling. In reality, Kickstart's weapon was broken a long time ago, and all that happened was I drove into him upside down and sent myself into the roof, which is pretty great. So yeah, just wanted to clarify that one thing.
Literally at the halfway point of this match, we're just at the 1 minute and 20-second mark now.
What a match!
Wow, massive hit from Puca and David Small. Can he capitalize on it? No, he's got him up against the side rails.
Stuck. Puca frees his opponent.
Puca lets him off.
There it
doing
goes
the
again.
thing.
The weapon belt off of Kickstart, laying helplessly.
David Small's going in at him again. He does not want the fight to end this way.
The countdown has begun.
He asked the crowd if they want more. They say yes. He goes in to free his opponent. The countdown is finished. Your winner is Puca. David Small is your 3-pound champion.
And with that, Puka takes the entire 3-pound bracket. This is my first ever, as well as Arizona's first ever, Golden Dumpster, and I couldn't be more excited about this. The robot worked great, and this is a massive milestone in my robot combat career. Of course, this means that Puka also qualifies for the Norwalk Championship in November. I'll be attending the finals with a new and improved Puka, and I'll be sure to address some of the issues we covered in this video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to keep up with my robots. Be sure to also follow Team Small Robots on Facebook and Instagram. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave a comment down below. Honestly, my favorite part about making these videos is engaging in the comments after. So if you have any questions for me, the robot, or maybe have a suggestion on how I could make these videos better, feel free to post a comment. So I'll see you next time, and until then, thank you for watching. See ya.